You have a call from
Patrick Ochs. I am the Director of Athletics at Pearl River Community College.
On the Line with Robert Chapman.
So how long have you been athletic director? And then also you've been at PRCC longer than that. How long have you been there kind of in general?
Sure. So my first year here was fall of 18. I started as a sports information director. Worked in the marketing department for a while as the assistant marketing director and then the marketing director. And then moved over to back to athletics as the athletic director. And I believe this is my third year now as the AD.
So so you've gotten to see kind of the insides and outsides of community colleges because Mississippi offers a little bit different of an opportunity and an experience to a lot of our students than across the nation, which I think is one of the things that most Mississippians probably take for granted and overlook. But you've kind of seen the inside of these community colleges here in the state for a good while. If you kind of take me from a 30,000-foot view, how have you seen our community colleges and what they have to offer grow over these past years?
That's really the special thing about community colleges in Mississippi. I think we just do them differently. We are supported well, and I think we make the most of that support and those opportunities. That's one thing growing up. As you know, I moved around a lot growing up. And I wish I knew in high school what I know now about community colleges because obviously I wouldn't change anything. I met my wife, living in Oxford. I met you guys living in Oxford. But if I knew then what I know now, I absolutely would have considered community college out of high school. I just think there's such a great value in community colleges. You can get a great education. You can study all sorts of different fields. And from a financial standpoint, you can do it at a fraction of the price. Or if you're a high achiever academically or athletically, you can earn a scholarship to make your bill relatively low. And so obviously that sets you up for success in life when you don't have a big student debt hanging over your head. So, I think Mississippi, it's neat. There are 15 community colleges in the state, scattered throughout the state. We all have different districts. And obviously we're located in South Mississippi in the Pine Belt. And so obviously I can speak a little more on what Pearl River does, but collectively, I think our role is to answer the needs of the state, whether it's workforce or academically. I think we're tasked with staying ahead of national trends, which as you know, being in the academic side of things, can be challenging at times. But I think that's what Mississippi does well, is we can respond to the needs of our communities.
So you said that all there's 15 community colleges across the state, and the presidents all get along very well. The board that kind of makes it all up, they really kind of strive to make sure that there are opportunities throughout the state. They may not be the exact same ones, but they're all really, really unique. How does this collective group of community college administrators, presidents and ADs and SIDs and all that, how do they all assist each other in bettering the opportunities across the state?
Yeah, I think one thing we do well is I do think we work well together, both with one another and even with four-year institutions. Pearl River, for example, has a number of agreements, like with William Carey and Southern Miss, where we help our students once they graduate, if they want to continue their educational career, advance to the next level and remove barriers for those young students. And so, I know within the different departments throughout the state, we also work well together, sharing ideas as ADs. We've got a group text where we are constantly exchanging ideas and asking, hey, what are you doing with this in mind? How are you responding to that? I know our presidents work well together. They all have a good working relationship. And so, they get together monthly to for just their normal meetings and have a lot of great dialogue and conversations.
How do the communities, because again, they're community colleges, how do these communities where they're all located, how are they housed and mixed together, and how do they mesh well with their respective academic institution?
From a physical standpoint, obviously, all our institutions have various campuses. We're located in Poplarville, Mississippi, but we also have our FCC campus located in Hattiesburg. We just built a brand new campus in Hancock County. We also have the Woodall Center, which is located in Hattiesburg. Our main campus, or our Poplarville campus, has dormitories on it so that we can house students. We're actually building 4 new dorms right now that are expected to go online August 25. So just here in a couple months that we're excited about. And we are an institution that has a rather long waiting list to live on campus and to attend our school. So obviously the new dorms we're hoping will help with the number crunch.
Yeah, you took me around when I got to come down there playing dad duty with as the show choir dad. You took me around and I got to see the new dorms. It's right over there. It's by the soccer fields. Is that right?
They're behind our soccer and softball and baseball facilities.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really great addition. And there are similar things happen across the state at other institutions as well. But if we're looking at Pearl River Community College specifically, kind of rewind and go back when you arrived as the communications guy down there, kind of what was the direction of Pearl River's athletics? And then was it all good? And then kind of what were the goals?
Sure. So when I was hired, there was a little bit of an overhaul. My boss then, who's my boss now, Dr. Jeff Long, was the athletic director at the time. He's now our executive vice president, and really they just wanted to modernize the communications aspect of our athletics department, get more involved in social media and video, improve the live stream efforts, revamp our websites, bring our information to our fans, to our student athletes' families. That's a big part of what we do now, and what the goal was back then was to help our recruitment efforts through social media. Obviously, the coaches are going to be the ones ultimately building those relationships and signing the student athletes in high school or students who opt to transfer. But really, athletics, I hear this quite a bit. Dr. Long and Dr. Brewer have mentioned this several times, is the porch or the front door to our institutions. And so it's our job to make sure all these great things that are happening at Pearl River go out there, and that the masses, the folks in our communities, can see what great things we have going on.
So you kind of answered this more from the communication side, but now that you're inside the athletic director's office running the show, working with a lot of awesome people, kind of another 30,000-foot question, but how have the athletics and the opportunities there grown at Pearl River, kind of in a generic sense? Like, was it philosophically, was it kind of going away from just the big three, or was it kind of making the big three even better while offering other things? Kind of generically, how has it changed over the years?
So, that's an interesting question. With Pearl River, we currently have 12 sports. We've added a handful of sports just in my 7 years here at the institution. The first year I was at PRCC, we announced that we were going to be the first JUCO in Mississippi to add volleyball, women's volleyball, and soon thereafter hired Coach Chatham, and she's done a phenomenal job leading the program. And now we've got around 9 or 10 programs in the state going into this upcoming school year who now have women's volleyball. We've also brought back men's golf. This past year, we were one of 3 institutions to have women's golf, and then we are adding esports and archery starting 24, 20, or 25, 26. So, it's really looking at the opportunities, looking at what our footprint with the student athletes, with athletics specifically, are doing at the high school level, and then seeing if we can help create opportunities, create pathways for them to come to Pearl River and then move on and be successful. Volleyball is a perfect example where, volleyball has been very popular in South Mississippi, the Pine Belt, really throughout. There's obviously some hotbeds throughout the state of Mississippi with volleyball. And that was the hope when we created that program, was to give those students an opportunity to go get a college education, potentially play beyond JUCO, and it's been a phenomenal success. We've seen the sport grow organically at the high school level and the youth level and at the college level. And so, now the majority of our schools in the state have added volleyball. And so it's, that's just a perfect example. Men's golf and women's golf, we're excited about the direction that those programs are headed. And then esports and archery are different sports where, with archery, it was interesting doing the research. I really had no idea just how popular archery was at the high school level, how many schools had archery teams, and how large those rosters were.
Oh yeah, they've
And
taken off because they do every year they have the state championship at the Kirk Fordyce Equine Center in Jackson, and it's massive.
absolutely, and that's really exciting when you can see that potential. And some institutions have archery as a club. We're going to have it as a varsity sport, where there will be scholarships available. And but really, if a student really wanted to pursue archery beyond high school, their options are limited. There's only a handful of four-year institutions in the state that offer archery, and so we saw that opportunity there. And then esports is the same thing, where high school level esports are incredibly popular, and so we've seen the growth of esports really in Mississippi and throughout the country. And so we're trying to help the students in our district and our area, give them that opportunity to come here at Pearl River, get a great education at a fraction of the price, and then possibly even pursue esports beyond PRCC when they graduate.
So kind of coming back down a little bit more specifically, not in so 30,000 foot view, but coming right into your seat in your office, you've been athletic director for a number of years. So philosophically, what kind of was your approach when it came to equipping, supporting, and then pushing the leaders of the various athletic programs on your campus to help you grow in that elite aspect?
Sure. So yeah, that's an interesting question. Obviously I have a little bit of a different background being an AD. My background is more marketing. I didn't coach. Obviously, I've always been around athletics and sports, and I think that's one reason, I was brought into this position. But I'm also smart enough to know what I'm good at and what my strengths are, and then what my weaknesses are. And so, I'm able to lean on a number of our head coaches and administrators to help and balance out my efforts in those areas that I'm deficient in. I will say I am, and we are as an institution very blessed to have such an incredible group of head coaches, self-motivators, driven individuals. I'm not the one that has to go around and really motivate these men and women to excel and to do well and to do right. We have a great culture at PRCC. And these coaches are a big part of that. All of our head coaches actually live on campus, which I think helps with our culture overall. They're all friends. They all hang out with one another. Their students come and support one another. We've got one of the best student sections, if not the best. I would say the best in the state as far as basketball is concerned. Really because we have buy-in from these other student groups and teams. And so that's really great to see. Our head coaches are great leaders in our immediate community within their teams, and so I'll be honest, they don't need a lot of direction or pushing in that regard from me. It's just a neat time to be at Pearl River because we are experiencing so much success across the board academically. Our enrollment has never been higher. It's north of 6,000 for the first time in the school's history. We've grown over more than 24% since 2017. That's obviously a direct success, direct line from our administration, our president, Dr. Brewerwood, and his vision, and all the administrators, leading their respective departments. It's exciting to see that kind of growth. And obviously, just a couple of years ago, with what was going on internationally, who knew what was going to happen, but we steered through what was COVID, and came out on the other side much stronger.
So, kind of last question, closing out. I've got a 13-year-old. She'll be 14 in a month, I believe, month and a half, and a 10-year-old who thinks he's ready to go to college right now. Let's say that PRCC is the option for them. What does it look like in 2035? Charlotte graduates in 2029. John graduates in 2032. Let's say in 10 years from now, what does it look like down there?
That's the neat thing about Pearl River specifically, in our community college system as a whole. I think it can be whatever you really want it to be in a lot of ways. We're very diverse, and we have a lot of different options for you. If you want to come to Pearl River for 2 years and kind of get some of your academic courses out of the way and transfer, we can be that option for you. If you want to come and go into one of our CTE programs and then go straight in the workforce, you can do that. We now have 44 different CTE options available to our students. Allied health obviously is a growing profession, and Pearl River has a great allied health program and plenty of options. It's one of our most in-demand programs. And then we also offer some workforce training as well. One new program that I think is neat and was very needed was a graphic design program where Corey Guerra, who works in marketing, spearheaded that program. And now several of his students have already won Addy Awards already, because they're learning the real world processes and getting to apply what they're learning in the classroom. And so that's exciting. I think for our children, it's really a great opportunity. Like I said earlier, come in, you get a real college experience. I think that's one thing, and I don't think I've mentioned this quite yet, but our community colleges in Pearl River specifically, it's a real college. It's not just like a warehouse with a parking lot where students come and go, come for a couple classes and then go home or go work. It is a real college campus, a real college culture. We have athletics, obviously. We have an incredible fine arts department. Our Brownstone facility, which you got to experience a couple weeks back, is second to none in the state. And it's really neat. It's a great opportunity. I mean, I would encourage any friends who have kids who are about to graduate high school, consider community college. Just because you're, let's say, an Ole Miss fan, if you go to Pearl River for a couple years, get some of those courses out of the way, you can still go to Ole Miss. You can still transfer to the four-year institution that you've always dreamed about attending, but you'll be able to go and have much less debt on you, and hopefully have a great college experience in the way, meet some lifelong friends.
So I'm gonna let you go, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, because this is very, very specific to Pearl River Community College, because you can't really find this anywhere else. What did you do last night? Where were you last night?
Where was I last night?
Yeah.
Well, if you're asking about the rodeo,
of course.
So we are hosting a 3-day rodeo competition. We do this annually. Coach Frank Graves is our rodeo coach. It's one of the unique sports that we offer. We're one of 3 in the state. And so last night was day 1 of the rodeo. We'll be there tonight. I'm actually bringing the girls tonight for the rodeo, and it'll wrap up on Saturday. And it's pretty unique in the sense that not only do we compete with the 3 other community colleges, but we also compete with 4-year institutions as well. So it is kind of funny because sometimes, and this has happened in the past, where we have somebody who is a member of our rodeo team, and then the next year they go on to, say, West Alabama, and they're competing against us, which is kind of a unique situation that our other sports don't really get to experience. But you're right, rodeo is one of those exciting opportunities that we have that we can offer to our students. Poplarville, one of the many great qualities of Poplarville, it's actually pretty well known to be a rodeo hotbed. And so we started the rodeo program a couple years before I got to PRCC, and it's been a great addition to our campus.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I'm glad I could interrupt part of your day. I hope you have a blast at the rest of the rodeo. Maybe you'll come out with a belt buckle or 2.
Yeah, I never know. Got to break out my denim.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks so much.
All right, see you.